Christopher Nolan's last movie was Oppenheimer, which was a huge critical and commercial success, which made about like $1 billion. After the success of Oppenheimer, Nolan got his blank check movie. With that blank check, he decided to make the The Odyssey is one of the oldest stories ever written. It's estimated to be around 3,000 years old. Actually, there have been several attempts to make movies before to varying effect. And now, Nolan decided to make the movie. How was it, you ask? It was pretty good. There's a lot of interesting things that you can talk about in this movie. I'll talk about the thing that intrigued me the most. The portrayal of the Greek gods in this movie. Notoriously, the Greek gods are pieces of shit. Zeus impregnated Leda as a swan to birth Helen of Troy. Helen of Troy literally hatched from an egg. The entire reason this story happened in the first place is because Zeus got freaky as a swan. Hades famously kidnaps Persephone, and Poseidon, he turned into a horse
and mated with his own.
You should now and give somebody else a piece of that oxygen and ozone layer that's covered up so that we can breathe inside this blue trap bubble.
The Greek gods are freaky as hell. But in the film, the major gods are not present. They are not given a form nor a voice. But you can still feel their presence throughout the movie. Whether it be through the stormy skies or the turbulent seas, or through the reverence the people give to these gods, you can always feel the presence of these gods throughout the movie. Zeus's law is the epicenter of the film. Treat others how you treat yourself, as they may be a god in disguise. This law kind of shows how much reverence they have to their gods. Odysseus' hubris is what caused most of the events of the movie to occur. His belief that he is in a way above the gods is what kind of caused everything to happen. The story kicks off on their journey home. Odysseus' crew is running out of supplies and food. They wind up on this island and they follow these sheep and go into a cave. And they assume they can just go, oh, Zeus's law, the guy who owns this shit will just give us food. It turns out to be for Polyphemus. Polyphemus is a Cyclops and a son of Poseidon. He does not give a shit about Zeus's law. And he just comes and just eats a dude. When he was eating the dude, he kind of made you sit with that discomfort. It made it really creepy. It felt like a scene straight out of Attack on Titan. Odysseus' crew escaped by driving a wooden stake into Polyphemus' eye. After they successfully leave the cave, Odysseus lands an extra hit on Polyphemus. And that's what causes Polyphemus to crash out. One thing that kind of irks me is the fact they didn't include Odysseus' most famous display of his hubris. In the original story, when they drive a stake through Polyphemus' eye, Polyphemus asks, "What's your name?" And Odysseus, being clever, says his name is Nobody. And when he goes running to the other Cyclops to tell them, "Nobody hit me," he realized he got tricked. But in Odysseus' hubris, he reveals his name. He says, "I am Odysseus." From then onwards, the journey back home was never going to be an easy one. Now, Christopher Nolan talked in an interview about why he couldn't add this in the movie. And he kind of says that he couldn't find a clever way to integrate it into the script. You know what? Fair enough. Percy Jackson, books that were made for 12-year-olds could do it. And you're telling me Christopher Nolan could not find a way to put it in the movie. After the encounter with Polyphemus, the crew believes that they're cursed. And then sometime later, they're still running desperately low on supplies. They're running out of food, running out of morale. And then they find another island. And this time is the island of the Laestrygonians. Laestrygonians wiped the floor with them. It was like the NBA Finals. The Spurs versus the Knicks, but the Laestrygonians did not have De'Aaron Fox, so they won easily. One kind of detail that the movie did not add is that the Laestrygonians are actually sons of Poseidon. That's why they were very much on site with them, right? Now, after the encounter with Laestrygonians, they wind up in Circe's hut, which causes the most, I'd say, disturbing scene in the movie. Circe turning the crew into pigs was genuinely so creepy and disturbing. And this one thing that really stood out to me in that scene is when Circe talks about the savagery of man. The savagery of a soldier is seen as discipline to a commander. All soldiers are the same. They're all savage beasts inside, regardless of what they do. Regardless of who they're fighting the war for, they're still savage beasts. There's so many other amazing set pieces throughout this movie, whether it be the sirens or Charybdis and Scylla. This movie looks amazing. Every frame of this movie looks like it could be a wallpaper. We all know Nolan's obsession with IMAX at this point, but this was the first movie completely shot in IMAX, which I think is like a technical marvel. If I'm being completely honest, I'm not a fan of the fact that there's only like 40 theaters in the world that can show the movie how it's intended to look. It's kind of gatekeepy to the fact that, for example, people who watch in like a normal theater like me, how will we know that Agamemnon completely helmet mods Odysseus in the sea? And also, Travis Scott is in this movie, which I just think is really funny. Not that it was bad, with how meticulous Nolan is with his set pieces and everything else. Just call up Travis Scott. Coming to the actors, I think mostly everyone did a really good job in this movie. Matt Damon as Odysseus was amazing. Anne Hathaway, as usual, was really good. Robert Pattinson's just really good at just portraying these characters who are just huge pussies.
Somebody get these beggars out of here!
The entire cast of this movie is pretty good, except Tom Holland. I don't think Tom Holland is bad, but when I saw him on the screen, I could not see anyone other than Tom Holland. I did not believe that he was supposed to be Telemachus. I only saw Tom Holland. And like, especially in the ending of the movie, where he just looks like a massive chud. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? The Trojan horse. The Trojan horse is one of the most iconic moments in fiction history. I'm a huge fan of how Nolan kind of used the Trojan horse in this movie. The Trojan horse is split into two parts in this movie. In the first part, Telemachus goes to meet Menelaus to find information about Odysseus. Menelaus recalls the story of Troy, of how Odysseus plays a trick to infiltrate the walls of Troy. The breaking of the walls of Troy was kind of painted as a heroic act. It was like the heroes are winning kind of moment, right? Everyone's screaming, everyone's hyped, and they allow Agamemnon to oral form for like 20 seconds. Then, later on in the film, the scene is completely thrown on its head when Odysseus is disguised as a beggar and tells the story to Penelope, his wife. Odysseus explains the brutality and the senselessness of war. He realizes that he is the one that caused this, and from that moment onwards, the world would never be the same. Throughout the film, there's a notion that Odysseus does not want to return home. How could he go home? He cannot carry the weight of his sins, as they were the people from the sea. And only in accepting his sins, and accepting the past, and accepting his fate, and accepting the fact that he is not above the gods, and he cannot control everything, is he truly able to go back to his home. One thing that I saw online is with the similarity of this and Oppenheimer. It's about the story of two men struggling with what they have created and understanding that from the moment of creation onwards, that nothing will ever be the same. I do have a few problems with this movie. I think the pacing of the movie is not amazing. Some scenes really drag on a little bit too much. And also the dialogue is a little bit too simple. I wish there was a little bit more, I guess you could say, thespian or more theatrical. But it's really simple, which I'm not a huge fan of. Not to say that being simple is bad, but I think the dialogue at some points kind of takes me out of it. Telemachus calling Odysseus dad at the final fight really took me out of the immersion of the scene. This movie is based off Emily Wilson's translation of the original work. Emily Wilson came on in an interview talking about how the script of this movie is abysmal and that she would have been ashamed to have written any part of this script, which is a pretty glaring review. Putting all that to the side, I think Nolan really succeeded at taking one of the most famous literature stories of all time and retelling it in a modern way. And he executes it to a really good degree. I don't think this movie replaces the books of the original works in any way, but it gives a new spin on what is an old classic. Overall, I'll give this movie a 4 out of 5. There's a lot of things I really like, but it's definitely not a perfect movie. Also, please subscribe and hit the like button. This video took a lot of time to make, and hopefully I'll be able to make new videos soon. Thank you very much for watching.